unicorns that emerged in Southeast Asia in 2021, 10 are based in Singapore. This is almost the same number of unicorns produced in Singapore over the past 7 years. Collectively, these unicorns have also created thousands of good jobs and are enmeshed in Singapore's innovation and startup ecosystem. All this despite having almost no domestic market to speak of. The increased vibrancy did not just happen by chance, nor did it grow overnight. Today, startups in Singapore can access over 200 global and local accelerators, up from 120 just 5 years ago. Similarly, the number of early-stage VCs have also increased by about a third, from about 130 in 2016 to close to 180 today. Enterprise Singapore works closely with our ecosystem partners to produce a vibrant startup ecosystem. We focused on 4 key pillars. First and foremost, talent. I've spoken to many founders, and talent is always at the top of their minds. Talent can differentiate the great from the good. Singapore is small, and I know that finding talent is oftentimes a challenge. But that should not inhibit what startups based here can achieve. We will continue to grow our base of technical and entrepreneurial talent to capture new business opportunities. For example, the Innovation and Enterprise Fellowship Program prepares local research talents for commercialization work through attachments with industry partners. Areas can be as diverse as biomed tech, sustainability, and agri-food tech. In addition, to meet the growing aspirations of Singaporeans to pursue entrepreneurship as a career, venture-built partners have trained more than 700 aspiring founders over the past year through the enhanced Startup SG Founder Venture Building Program. This is positive indication that Singaporeans are showing increasing interest in entrepreneurship. Besides cultivating our local pool of founders and technical talent, we also attract top global talent through schemes such as Tech at SG and Entrepass. These global talents can work alongside us to advance the frontiers of innovation and build globally competitive startups together. Next, financing. Financing does not merely refer to funding, but smart capital. We want to partner with investors who can provide startups with access to networks, resources, and talent which are critical for growth. Seeds Capital, an Enterprise Singapore subsidiary, recently appointed 13 new co-investment partners for a total of 47 active partners under the Startup SG Equity Scheme. We expect these new partnerships to catalyze over 150 Singapore million dollars to investments into startups in nascent deep tech sectors over 5 to 8 years. Our third pillar is demand-led innovation. Corporates drive demand by articulating the problem statements and launching an open call for suitable solutions and access a ready adopter. For this reason, we have put the spotlight on open innovation challenges through the Open Innovation Network. Since 2018, ESG has worked with agencies and corporates to launch close to 350 challenge statements, from which 177 proposals were eventually matched. Beyond challenges faced by individual enterprises, the National Innovation Challenges, or the NICs, aim to solve industry-wide challenges with impactful outcomes. For example, an integrated solution for unmanned building facade cleaning, inspection and repair was sought by the Built Environment Accelerate to Market program. The 2 awarded innovators came up with a solution that reduces the risk of working at height and improves manpower productivity through automation. The innovators will work closely with JTC, City Developments Limited, Frasers Property, and Hong Kong Land. If adopted widely, this could improve the safety, productivity, and resilience for the built environment sector. Finally, co-innovation is by no means limited by geography. Under the Co-Innovation Programs, or CIP, Enterprise Singapore supported 78 bilateral innovation projects from 2019 to September this year, with partners coming from a number of cities in Europe, Israel, and China. Companies get to forge business partnerships with overseas companies to build products that meet global demand. Under the Germany-Singapore SME funding program, Singapore-based startup vFlowTech worked with NTU and tapped on the expertise of a German-based company and university to develop an alternative to traditional energy storage solutions. With new capabilities developed from the project, vFlowTech will be able to embark on its go-to-market activities in Germany and beyond, potentially drawing revenues worth up to 35 million Singapore dollars in value by 2024. I understand that our CIP calls for proposal have attracted much interest and participation from both local and foreign companies. It is gratifying to hear that many are taking advantage of such co-innovation opportunities. A vibrant startup and innovation ecosystem needs strong networks with other global innovation hubs. Our Global Innovation Alliance, or GIA programs, aim to do just that. Through these programs, overseas companies will learn about doing business in Singapore, and Singapore-based companies will get the opportunity to internationalize. Since 2020, over 300 participants have spent, on average, 2 months each in these programs. These cross-border collaborations will help us build connections in 16 GIA cities around the world, including Southeast Asia, China, India, Europe, and the US. While we have covered some distance despite the pandemic, we cannot rest on our laurels. The global winds of change are blowing fast, and we must keep improving to stay ahead of trends. In this recovery phase, we must all redouble our efforts to make the most of this reopening. Enterprise Singapore will continue to work with partners to strengthen the 4 key elements to help both local and global startups achieve your goals, using Singapore as a safe home port. The first big opportunity we must seize is to strengthen our networks with partners and linkages to Asia and the world. We will press on with GIA and CIP efforts so that startups may capitalize on overseas opportunities, build links to international innovation hubs. For example, we have just launched the new GIA node in Moscow and introduced a Seoul market access program, and will continue to establish more such connections with other innovation hubs around the world. The vaccinated travel lanes, or VTLs, that Singapore has recently put in place will amplify the benefit of these Global Innovation Alliance and Co-Innovation Program efforts. The second opportunity we must seize is talent. With VTLs in place, the flow of talent between countries will slowly but surely resume. But time is a priceless currency for startups. For those who need to strike while the iron is hot, we have the Global Tech Talent Alliance program. Under this program, startups will be able to tap service providers that can help them build and manage tech talent remotely and navigate local regulations to facilitate market expansion. We have kicked off the program in Vietnam and hope to expand to more markets in the future. This will help our promising early-stage startups who need to scale overseas. I expect that the easier access to global talent will help with startups' internationalization plans, not just for Singapore startups, but also for those who choose to use Singapore as a springboard to the region. I'd like to end off with opportunities for financing and securing deals. Lockdowns and travel restrictions surely have discouraged face-to-face meetings and slowed down due diligence. With the reopening, fundraising, especially for cross-border projects, can accelerate. We will continue to facilitate such projects through our community building efforts. Switch and Slingshot are good examples of this. We also have our Startup SG network, which is like a LinkedIn for Singapore startup and innovation ecosystem players. By joining this network, startups can reach out to investors and mentors. The monthly Deal Fridays virtual pitching sessions will also help to facilitate deal making in the new normal of hybrid working. Since its launch in 2019, Deal Fridays have facilitated over 650 connections between startups and potential investors and corporates. But of course, we must keep looking outwards for more opportunities to collaborate and innovate across borders. The 2021 edition of the Southeast Asia Open Innovation Challenge was just launched on 9th of November with Southeast Asian conglomerates. More regional open innovation challenges are in the pipeline, and I encourage all of you to participate. Seize this opportunity to pitch to large regional corporates and have your solutions piloted and adopted overseas. Our Singapore-based startups must seize this opportunity to look overseas. Make important networks to find your success. Likewise, I invited global startups to consider the opportunities here and use Singapore as a base to springboard to new opportunities within Asia. Strong startups are supported by capable talent who can think big, think global. When strong startups build their roots in the Singapore ecosystem, there is a reinforcing effect for talent and financing opportunities. When these strong startups want to internationalize, we have ready opportunities for them to link up with global partners. These are the key elements for success that the Singapore startup and innovation ecosystem possesses. I encourage all participants to seize these opportunities and capitalize on Singapore as a trusted home base from which you can access opportunities in Southeast Asia and the world. I wish our Slingshot Grand finalists all the very best in the competition. Learn from others, make new connections, and catalyze new ideas that will slingshot you to where you want to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd like to invite you back to your seat, please. Thank you. All right, let's talk about the prizes for Slingshot 2021. A little recap. This year we've got over $1.1 million in cash and grant prizes. We have resources, startup resources, mentor opportunities, and corporate deals to be won. Now, each of our top 12 grand finalists have already won a $50,000 Startup SG grant. But today, the grand winner, the grand champion, will win an additional $200,000 Startup SG grant. So everybody's vying for that. On top of that, our corporate partners will be providing cash and in-kind prizes to the startups of their choice. Now, the rules of engagement today, each startup will be given exactly 5 minutes to pitch. At the end of 5 minutes, they will have to stop or they will be interrupted. After that, we'll have a 4-minute session with the judges. Speaking of which, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our very esteemed panel of judges this afternoon. With us on site, you've met him already. We've got the chairman of Enterprise Singapore, Mr. Peter Ong. There you have it. Very warm welcome, Peter. We also have Mr. Nick Nash, co-founder and managing partner of Asia Partners. Very warm welcome, Nick. We have with us Mr. Hian Goh, founding partner of Open Space Ventures. Hello, Hian. Good to have you with us. And we also have Mr. Paul Santos, managing partner of Wave Maker Partners. A very, very warm welcome, judges. I do believe they're all raring to go. They have their iPads ready to score. They have their notepads. They've got their pens. But first, whether you're tuning in wherever you are remotely, we really do hope that you send your words of encouragement. You can do this! Give it your best to all of our top 12 grand finalists. You You can do so in the chat that's that's located on the right side of your browser. So send your words of encouragement. To our top 12 grand finalists, all the best. You've got this. Now, to kick things off, we have our very first pitch from the sustainability sector. From Singapore, we have Payman Salehian, representing Elozymes. Your 5 minutes begins now.
I'm Payman, and we are Elozymes, Google of enzyme. We are accelerating nature's manufacturing machinery for everyday applications. Slow and expensive development of biotech products are huge bottlenecks for sustainable manufacturing. Natural enzymes and microorganisms are inefficient. They look like an old factors, so we need to engineer them for the modern industrial application. But the current engineering techniques are slow, expensive, and it has a high failure rate. At Elozymes, we employ directed evolution in a macrobiotic system to engineer super enzymes and microorganisms, 1000x faster, 10x cheaper, with 200x higher chance of success compared to the current technology. With our technology, we capture the entire value chain of biotech product. It has 3 main elements of discovery, engineering, and biosynthesis. Currently, in the discovery stage, all the companies needs to go to the nature and looking for an enzyme or microorganisms that can manufacture their end product in a small amount. There's gazillions of enzymes and microorganisms out there, and this is purely based on luck. But at Elozymes, we generate 10 million data sets per day to build the largest enzyme and microorganism data library over a few years. So in future, you can just search within our data set and find the microorganism that can do the job for your product. It is a groundbreaking innovation that can increase the adoption of biotech product and sustainable manufacturing in all the sectors. In the engineering steps, we're going to use our hardware to screen millions of variants per hour to provide 200x higher chance of success. And last but not least, we are shortening the time to the market by 10x for any products. Let me walk you to a couple of challenges that we try to solve with our technology. The first one is biosynthesis of the lamb taste flavor for the plant-based meat industry. With Elozymes technology, we identify the molecules that smell and taste like a lamb without using any lamination, and biosynthesize that in only 2 months. We also copy and paste the tomato pathway in the bioreactor to biosynthesize an ingredient for the cosmetic industry at scale without using a single tomato, and we can do it with all the other plants as well. Traditionally, our customer needed to cultivate whole of Singapore with tomato to only manufacture 3 kg of this ingredient. We have a very flexible business model. With our service, we make a partnership with the enterprises and other biotech startups to reduce the time and cost of the development tremendously. And we have an internal product in the food industry. With our technology, we are addressing a $600 billion market. We are outcompeting our competitors from different angles. Our technology enables us to provide the service faster, cheaper, with a higher accuracy. And we are going to outcompete the enzyme contract research organization like Codexis. Codexis is a $1 billion company in the US, and they initiated the industrial enzyme engineering 20 years ago with the current technology. Over the time when we are building our data library, we are going to outcompete the computational enzyme design companies like Arzeda, who is suffering from the lack of the data. And our synthetic biology approach is different from strain developers like Ginkgo because we are an enzyme engineering company with the capacity to optimize the strain at the same time. And more importantly, we're going to be very active in the APAC market where none of these companies providing the service. We have a very highly educated team. More than 60% of our team are PhDs. I am Payman, CEO and co-founder of Elozymes. I have 10 years of experience in bioprocess design and scale-up, and I'm a repeat entrepreneur. And my co-founder, Akbar, CTO of Elozymes, has 10 years of experience in enzyme engineering. And we are backed by 12 talented people of engineers and biologists. We are proud to have a world-class advisory team. Eric was ex-R&D manager of the Codexis, our main competitor. Scott has 30 years of experience in the IFF, and Mark is CEO of Genesis by Lasafe, one of the biggest biotech company in the Europe. We raised $5 million from our visionary investors from UK, US, and Singapore to build world's fastest microorganism engineering platform in the heart of Asia, Singapore. We are Allozymes.
Thank you very much, Payman, for that wonderful pitch. And Payman, how are you doing this afternoon? Good?
Yeah, I'm very good, actually.
Now we've got 4 minutes with the judges. The time starts now. Judges, who would like to go first? We've got a question from Peter for Enterprise Singapore.
Thank you very much. Can you explain a bit more about your go-to-market strategy? Who would you sell to and how would you sell? And can you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. So we started by providing service to the biotech department of the enterprises. So normally the head of the R&D of the companies are the one that we contact with them and then providing the service to them. So basically the problem statement that we try to solve for them is very short and very fast development and cost effective. So they have two choices, either actually work with us to develop the enzyme engineering and microorganism in a couple of months, or they can do it in a year. And that's actually go-to-market strategy with the service.
Thank you for that. Judges, we have a question now from Nick from Asia Partners.
Payman, thank you. Merci. Merci, I think you speak Persian, right? And,
yes, exactly.
Merci.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. I don't fully understand what the product does. Have you basically built a giant ribosome, or is this more of a high throughput screening product?
Okay, so it has different angles actually. We started by the hardware, which was only a screening machine. And then we added our smart algorithm on top of that, together with the development on the biology. So currently we have a hardware and we have a very smart algorithm, and we also have a data library. So it has 3 different elements of the technology and the product that we build the internal capacity of the company.
Thank you for that. Judges, do we have more questions for Payman? We've got a question from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
Can you describe the structure of your intellectual property? How many patents you have? Do you own it completely? Are you licensing it from A-Star or any other research laboratories?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the question. So basically, our technology has a long history. It started from 2017 from National University of Singapore, when 3 professors, 2 MIT graduates, 1 EPFL graduate, built a large research group and spent $5 million NRF grants. And my co-founder was one of the actually developers of this technology. So we exclusively licensed the technology from NUS, but after that, we upgraded it. We built a data set, we built the algo on top of that, and we increased the accuracy of the hardware itself. So we have the core patent on that. We take over to the company, and we have a US patent on top of this. Beside that, we have the patent portfolio of the product and enzyme that we are producing actually yearly.
Thank you for that, Payman. I think we have a follow-up question from Nick from Asia Partners.
Just one last question for you from me, Payman. Right now, it looks like you want to have a bit of a service bureau model. You'll license this and you'll do work on behalf of researchers. Why wouldn't you want to go full-on Illumina here and just have 100,000 of these boxes in every lab and let everybody be their own entrepreneur?
It's a very, very good question, actually. We could choose that model as well, but we have decided to build it internally because one is could build a box and then sell the box, as you said, like Illumina. Another model is generate the data with the box and then use the software on top of that and let the people to subscribe that. It is more scalable and actually can generate more value on that. So consider that you tap on our data set, that you subscribe to it, and then you can find a microorganism. And then after that, you back to us and say, hey, could you even engineer it for it? So it's a double revenue stream for the company over time.
Thank you very much for that. Unfortunately, would it be a very quick question?
Do you have a key customer already? And what's the size of the customer? What does it look like?
Yes,
quickly.
Exactly. We signed a $500,000 contract just last week for a service, and we signed 2 partnerships for the product, which generate $4 million recurring revenue for the company from next year.
Thank you for that, Payman. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Once again, Payman for Allozymes, all the best.
Thank you.
All right, judges, the next to pitch from Singapore, we've got Amrish Nair for Biorhythm. Amrish, your 5 minutes starts now.
Hello, everyone. So recently when my wife was pregnant, the engineer that I am, I decided to put a device that we're developing on her after every visit that we went to. And one of the evenings, she actually started feeling some tightness, pain, and and I saw some deflections on the screen. And we went to the hospital and confirmed it was preterm contractions. And, this really reflects the experience of thousands of parents waiting in waiting rooms. And, understanding, is it the right time to go to the hospital? And, it's exactly that, that maternity care hasn't changed. It's very much in person, in hospital, and needs redesign because we're shoving the same problems through a very small funnel. We're going to have reduced capacity. We have increasing rate of chronic disease. And finally, we're getting increasing poor outcomes and shoving it through that same funnel of, 10 to 14 in-person visits, which hasn't changed since the 1930s. But what COVID has done is really force the profession to rethink this. And now guidelines are in place to reduce that by up to 50%, complementing the in-person with digital visits. And this is key. Now we have tens of thousands of practices worldwide who are looking to adapt to digital practice as part of the new guidelines. But with new guidelines come new issues and challenges. How do clinicians get paid? How do they manage all this data? And when is the right time to bring patients back to hospital? And these are the questions that FEMOM is answering. And FEMOM is a comprehensive maternal fetal monitoring platform. And the way it works is clinicians prescribe a kit to the mom comprising a blood pressure cuff, glucometer, fetal monitor, and a monitoring schedule. Once a day blood pressure, 3 times a week fetal monitoring, depending on the condition. The patient conducts the session, connecting devices to her phone, and the data is sent to a clinical platform where our predictive analytics triage a patient, and the clinician can apply their own clinical algorithms too. It's really that simple. And this is really powered by our technology that we developed at NTU, where biomedical signal processing combined with a predictive analytics. And for the 3 key stakeholders, patients, anytime, anywhere, clinicians, bringing the right patients back efficiently, being able to manage all this data. And finally, for payers, low cost, high quality care. It's all they care about. And just zooming in on where we really stand out, it's allowing the clinician to call the right patient back. Our predictive analytics can be trended to optimize timing of delivery. And this is key. It's a key cog in the whole system, because if a false positive rate of calling patients back exists, you get patients coming back for no good reason and then destroys, and it's antithetical to remote monitoring. Our clinical studies with over 200 patients are meeting FDA requirements for the 510K. And we have 3 key customer segments, academic centers, which are going to be writing the protocols as well as our podium speakers in the next standard of care, physician practices, which are looking at efficient, low throughput solutions, which can really enhance their practice. And lastly, it's a booming tele-OBGYN service around the world, which is going to be the newest, latest form of OBGYN practice. We're selling to hospitals. We have a monthly subscription with 2 tiers, maternal and maternal fetal monitoring to right-size care. And finally, we are able to add devices onto the platform, which are fully reimbursed. 2 key milestones, where platform is currently live as a software, and the fetal monitor will be available next year for use. We really have a rockstar team. We have recruited a CMO from Maven Clinic, a unicorn, and with global MNC experience. And really, my role has been relegated to making sure everyone gets their coffee on time and just watching the show go on. Great PIs and scientific advisors, global institutions here. And what we're seeing is a global demand for these services. It's not localized. What we're seeing is across industries and up to 5 academic centers with 2 major telehealth platforms looking to come on board. Again, key competitive advantage. When do we bring the right patient back based on our advanced predictive analytics? Is what makes a difference. We're raising money to boost our team, clinical trials, as well as gain customers. And that's key in 2022. And fundamentally, it's about preserving or enhancing the experience for patients. Healthy mother, healthy baby, happy parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Amrish. I'm sure you're more than coffee boy because you're here presenting this after all. Amrish, you ready for the 4 minutes Q&A with the judges?
Sure thing.
All right. Our first question comes from Nick from Asia Partners.
Amrish, I just want to start by thanking you for making this a priority and bringing this opportunity. I think as the 4-male member judging panel talking to a male CEO can attest, there just aren't enough people focusing on these sorts of products. And if half of all venture capitalists in the world had gone through a 9-month pregnancy, the world would have been a much better place. So I'm really proud of you for what you're doing. I have 2 very specific questions. First question is, why aren't you building this as a direct-to-consumer, D2C company? Your bill of materials cost is very affordable. The cost of this is about as much as a mom spends on folic acid over the first 9 months. Why not just sell it directly to consumers and have it alert them whenever there's an issue? And the second question is very practical from here in Singapore. America, England, Australia, the countries that you have launched partnerships with, they have tons of doctors, everyone's got a 4-door sedan they can drive over. Why not make this an emerging markets focused product where the need is so acute and the regulations are a bit more pragmatic?
So to answer your first question, actually to answer your second question first, it's actually the deployment in a system which has a mature medical system or mature pathway, clinical pathway for OBGYN. And this needs maternal fetal medicine specialists as well as OBGYNs with equipment and capabilities to interpret the data. An emerging markets play would look a lot more digital. And that's quite important, especially when you look at scalability in emerging markets. Hardware deployment in Australia, UK, Singapore, and the US is much simpler. And really, to answer your first question, it's about the fact that clinicians are the key drivers of decision making. Putting this in the hands of patients would actually increase the rate of going to the hospital unnecessarily, false reassurance, and unnecessary anxiety. And that's actually reflected in the Royal College of Midwifery advice that women should not monitor themselves without clinical supervision. And putting the clinician in the center of all of this, or the midwife, really allows the patient to have that optimal experience. Clinical oversight while having personal reassurance.
I'll just say for the record that if you ask a barber whether you need a haircut, they will tell you you need a haircut.
Thank you for that.
That's definitely true. Yeah.
Judges, do we have another question for Amrish? We've got a question from Peter from Enterprise Singapore.
Amrish, thank you very much. I wasn't clear what phase of clinical trials you're at now. I gather you have done some, you want to raise funds for more, but from what you have done so far in clinical trials, what kind of insights are you drawing, type 1, type 2 errors, and can you share a bit more about the insights?
Yes, so we are studying the device as a non-inferior device to what exists in hospital. And fundamentally, the next stage of this will be to clear regulatory clearance. And the next stage would be looking at randomized clinical trials, looking at outcomes, stillbirths, preterm births, and how remote monitoring and more data can actually better manage timing of delivery, which will reduce the incidence of the 2 conditions I just mentioned.
Thank you, Amrish. We've got slightly under a minute. We have a question now from Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
Hi, Amrish. Just wanted to get a sense of how long the $7 million that you're raising now lasts you. What are you able to achieve with that? And then what do you see as your next funding round to help you get to the finish line?
So $7 million is going to last us 20 to 24 months. And it's going to really help us get that first early wave of customers, the early adopter. And we're looking at $25 million as the next fundraise as we look to scale our products on the platform, as well as, like what an earlier question mentioned, provide even perhaps a D2C model where we're able to enhance the pregnancy experience.
Thank you, Amrish. And that, I think, is all the time we have, unfortunately, for the Q&A session. Thank you once again to Amrish for Biorhythm. Now we move on next to our startup. This is startup number 3 from the US. We have Nicholas Halper from Brain Grade. 5 minutes begins now.
You are the collection of your memories, but Alzheimer's disease eats away at those memories, taking away a patient's sense of self and their independence. But I don't need to spend the time telling you these facts and figures, not because you've probably already heard them before, but because you probably have experience with somebody in your family who has Alzheimer's disease, given that 1 in 4 people die with it. And despite this, there are no cures and no effective treatment. In fact, patients and physicians hate current treatments, with over 50% of patients stopping treatment within the first year, and the National Institute of Clinical Excellence actually suggesting they no longer be reimbursed because they just don't do enough. And these feelings are echoed in clinical trials as well, where only 1% of Alzheimer's disease pharmaceuticals actually have any sort of positive improvement in patients that take them. But today, 88% of device-based implantable therapies for Alzheimer's disease have shown improvement in Alzheimer's patients. And these results give new hope to Alzheimer's patients. These feasibility studies, for example, suggest that our device will give patients 10 more years of independence, allowing them to stay out of expensive institutional care and spend more time with their friends and family as loved ones instead of as a caregiving burden. And right now is the right time for medical devices. Devices are getting cheaper and more capable through miniaturized technology, and the market is already well established, including devices in neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's disease. So it makes sense we should have an implant for Alzheimer's disease as well, which is why BrainGrid has developed, or is developing, the first implant built for Alzheimer's disease. The device is invisibly implanted under the skin and works like a pacemaker for your brain. So what do I mean by that? Well, what the device does is detect the abnormal brain signals associated with Alzheimer's disease and provide gentle, targeted stimulation at the right time and place to correct and stabilize them. And this does more than just restore memory function. It actually also reduces tau, slows down brain atrophy, and increases neurogenesis, the formation of new neurons, which are successfully incorporated into the memory circuit. Now, we have a more detailed science deck that goes over this, but I think for now it's important to highlight that all of these claims are actually from human studies and have been published in peer-reviewed journals by our team members and advisors. So what we're talking about here is human-to-human translation. Most Alzheimer's therapies fail as they move from animal to human, but these are already showing proof in the target population. And I think it's important to highlight that all of these claims are possible through the innovations BrainGrid has brought forth. One of these is our innovative microfabricated thin film probes. What these do is allow us to put more electrodes into the target structures in a smaller volume. So we're smaller than existing state-of-the-art brain implants with 100 times more electrodes in the target tissue. And these are supported by a splaying guide. This is a microfabricated structure that allows us to splay electrodes into the brain volume, creating a 3D structure in the brain that allows us to control the activation area, size, and shape of the targeted tissue, meaning that we can better optimize the therapy and control side effects. And both of these exist to deliver our patented stimulation, which Nature in Neurology has called the future of deep brain stimulation. And finally, this is all supported on the back end by our software and data pipeline, where machine learning algorithms optimize these therapies individually in patients and across the population. And because of the way that our software is set up, this allows us to continuously monitor these Alzheimer's biomarkers, meaning that instead of the typical every 3 months check-in that you see during clinical trials for existing devices, we can actually check in continuously, every second of every day, to see how our therapy is doing and optimize it for that patient's outcome. And this is all made possible by our incredible team. We have founders and executives from the top neurotechnology companies around the world, including founders of Elon Musk's Neuralink company, his primary brain-computer interface company that he's pushing now. And we have an extended team that includes medical device advisors, memory scientists, brain-computer interface advisors, and AI scientists as well. And we're working on the most expensive disease in the United States. Alzheimer's disease costs $1 trillion today, and that's expected to triple over the next 10 years. And this is why the market reacts so favorably to good news in Alzheimer's disease. So over the next 2 years, we'll finish development of the device and get to market by 2027 in Europe. And where we are now is establishing those clinical probes, starting our human STIM study, submitting our breakthrough device designation to FDA, and we recently got funding from MindRock and IT Farm. We'd love for you to join us in helping the 44 million people with Alzheimer's today.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, and thank you for staying up to chatting with us. I think it's quite late over in the US. You want to have a sip of water first, just to wet the throat? Okay, are you ready to go for 4 minutes with our judges?
Yes.
Okay, our first question comes from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
Nicholas, congratulations on really working on one of the biggest problems in the world. Having said that, aducanumab's approval by Biogen 6 months ago with possibly another 5 or 6 drugs, and the FDA's relaxation in terms of the endpoints may be a game changer. Of course, we're going to have confirmation studies over the next 10 years. Why should somebody get something in your brain when we can basically pay $54,000 for a drug and my insurance is going to pay for it, and then you won't get any adoption by the time your device is there? 5 years, you could be blown out of the water.
Sure. I mean, one of the first things right there is that our device is cheaper than that therapy. Despite that, or on top of that, the aducanumab has only shown secondary endpoint effect so far. I think so far people are doubtful of the amyloid beta hypothesis for Alzheimer's disease, and people are still looking for and researching alternative solutions. Independent of all of that, though, if a miracle cure comes out for Alzheimer's disease, which we're all hopeful for, this device improves upon existing deep brain stimulators in many different ways, in 3 different dimensions. And so we could apply this device in many other indications, including taking over Parkinson's disease today, or working on more other diseases such as depression.
Thank you for that, Nicholas. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. Judges, do we have another question for Nicholas? I think we have a question from Paul from Wave Maker Partners.
Yeah, maybe I'll let you continue on that train of thought, right? Like, so the deep brain stimulation that you provide, you're saying is superior to what's in the market. Beyond Alzheimer's, do you mind sharing a little more around where it could possibly be helpful? I heard Parkinson's, dementia in general.
Yeah, so effectively, because we're measuring a new metric in the brain not possible with current devices, which is interregional synchrony, it means we can address any diseases that are faults or failures of interregional communication in the brain. And so this is less applicable to like single target stimulation diseases, but is highly applicable to multi-target or interregional synchrony diseases. And these include depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, addiction. Those are some of the big 3 that we would have in the pipeline, but other diseases could fall into that purview as well.
Thank you, Nicholas. Judges, do we have any final question for Nicholas? I think we've got one from Nick from Asia Partners.
Nick, hi. Thank you for spending the time with us all the way from Salt Lake City. I'm going to ask you a provocative question. I hope you don't mind it. If in 5 years from now, BrainGrade isn't a success, what aspect of your company's culture do you think would be the culprit?
Wow. This is a provocative question. I think we have a lot of engineers who are really excited to build things. And I think we'll have to control the constant temptation to over-engineer or build an over-engineered device. And so I think if in 5 years we weren't a success, it would be because we tried to go too far, too many innovations at once.
Thank you for that. Really quick one left. I think the judges are pretty satisfied. Thank you so much, judges. Thank you once again, Nicholas, for BrainGrade. All the best.
Thank you.
We move on now to our next startup. From Singapore, we've got Sumanta Bose for Data Crew. Hello, Sumanta. Your 5 minutes to pitch starts now.
I'm Sumanta, CEO of Data Crew, and I want to share a story with you. This is Sarah, my 5-year-old niece turning 6 in Jan, a smart kid for her age, vibrant and ever curious. Recently, she asked me a question, "Uncle, where will I be when I grow up like you?" Now that made me think. You see, according to a UN report, 68% of the global population will reside in cities by 2050. Chances are, Sarah will too. So how do we make cities a better place to raise future generations? Well, every industry has a role to play. But think about it. What is the one thing that drives them and makes them function together as a dynamic system? The answer is data. Particularly data generated from sensors connected to the internet, forming the Internet of Things, also known as IoT. Traditionally, most IoT vendors offer manually programmed fixed solutions which have a poor problem solution fit, are time consuming and expensive. This is history. The future is no-code IoT. With our no-code IoT platform, domain experts without programming knowledge can build IoT solutions with great problem solution fit rapidly and affordably. But how does our solution work? We have built a no-code IoT platform. with intuitive drag and drop features, visual data analytics capabilities, and interactive 3D digital twin reflecting real-time insights. And this no-code approach is not just good for customers, but it's also great for our bottom line. This allows us to deliver quality solutions at lesser cost than our competitors. Relying on data automation instead of manpower allows us to scale rapidly, making us a valuable, investable startup. We have multiple success stories from manufacturing, transportation, renewable energy shipping, and others, where customers are deriving tangible operational and commercial benefits. To share a few examples, 25% water and energy savings at a manufacturing plant, 50% reduction in manual maintenance trips for a train operator, 200K savings in O&M cost per year at a solar plant, and 450K potential savings per year through predictive maintenance, all made possible by this platform. And for these customers, the cherry on the cake is our patented security offerings. Did you know that today 98% of IoT traffic is unencrypted and vulnerable to cyber attacks, resulting in losses of over millions of dollars annually? Take this water tank you see on the screen as an example. It's full in reality, but the level sensor is hacked. The value is fixed at 50%. The controller would falsely believe that the tank is only half full and pump in more water, resulting in overflow, which would be catastrophic in terms of infrastructure and economic losses. The saying goes, IoT without security is Internet of Threats. This is where Datacrew comes in with our patented post-quantum encryption technology to make such critical assets resistant, not just against classical malware attacks, but also against quantum attacks, making them future-proof. The global TAM of IoT will cross $1 trillion in less than 5 years, but our growth formula is to focus on a niche market segment, geography, and technology vertical. We will go deep, not wide. Our GTM strategy is a hybrid between a direct B2B sales approach through our inside sales and outbound sales for our SaaS platform, and an indirect B2B2B approach, leveraging on our strong network of channel partners and resellers on a revenue sharing model. Our business model is pay-as-you-go SaaS, where we charge on a per sensor per day basis, segregated into multiple tiers according to features and data volume. We have a strong customer pipeline with a target of $1.5 million in the next 12 months. On the screen, you can see some customer logos of both types in our current sales funnel with stages and the expected sales volume and closing dates in the matrix. We have several six-figure ARR deals lined up in 2022. To summarize about us in a line, we are a no-code IoT platform company helping customers deploy turnkey IoT solutions in less than 48 hours. On the screen, you can also see some of our existing clients and partners, many of the logos which you would definitely recognize. And this is our brilliant team. I am Sumanta, the CEO, PhD from NTU Singapore, ex-research scientist with Temasek Laboratories. Arjun is the CTO, 5 years enterprise software experience. Roy is the CBO, ex-Citibank, ex-IBM as sales strategist and analyst, plus a bunch of very smart and dedicated crew members and helpful advisors. Using no-code IoT, Datacrew is fast-tracking towards building a secure, sustainable tomorrow for Sarah and her generation. We are doing our part to build a better world and calling upon you to join us in this incredible journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sumanta, for that very passionate pitch. Do you want to take a sip of water or something? Yes. Okay. Sumanta, we've got now 4 minutes with the judges. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, your first question from Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
Hi, Samantha. So congratulations on your success stories. Do you mind sharing a little more about them? I saw impacts of $200,000, $400,000. If you can describe a little about what was the investment made in your solution, and then are the customers expanding?
Indeed, they are. So basically, if I give you some values, it's a 20x ROI for them over a period of 2 years. So what we did is, for example, I know Wavemaker Partners is heavily investing in clean and green technologies. So for solar and battery assets, let's say we deploy our solution, it helps to monitor and analyze the solar, battery, and renewable assets and give them predictive maintenance on that, as well as a forecast on how the energy usage is going to be and how they can better utilize their assets, thereby reducing O&M cost, which used to be manual in the yesteryears. This is one example. The other example is obviously a little bit more on the Industry 4.0 side, where we are again using predictive maintenance with companies like SemCorp and PUB to monitor their assets and bring bring down the downtime that they have. And like I said, the ROI return is around 20x for these projects. And they're definitely expanding from pilots to bigger scale and multiple sites.
Sumanta, we have a follow-up question from Paul again.
Yeah, so just quickly then, it sounds like a no-brainer. Why aren't you growing faster?
We have spent a great part of the last year in developing this platform, and we're a relatively new company. We started in 2019. So our growth has been good because we've already raised the first round of investment. We have got grants from Enterprise Singapore. So, being a deep tech company powered by this platform instead of relying on manpower to do programming, no code. So we've spent quite a number of resources in the last year developing that. And this year, the last quarter of this year has been really great. And we have projects lined up in the next quarter of 2022.
Thank you, Sumanta. We have now a question from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
These are two questions, right? So one is technically, how does it work? You guys have the IoT sensors from the existing company already in there, but they use a programmer and then you flip in your software, or do you actually have to deploy it? Because you can't really do it in 48 hours. And secondly, no code is possibly for like less sophisticated customers like SMB, robotics, that kind of stuff. SMRT probably has enterprise customers, and why would they need, a no-code solution, right?
So I'll start off by saying never say no. When you said it's not possible to do, not possible is a very strong word. It is indeed possible. So how we do it, that's the interesting part of it. So you see in any IoT project, there are three components to it. There is the hardware, there is the communication bit, which could happen over 4G, 3G, LoRa, or whatever other communication. And there is the application layer, the software aspect of it, which translates the data and brings value to the customer. That is the layer we are expediting and doing it within 48 hours. Obviously, there has to be deployment on the ground, which cannot happen within 48 hours, may take longer. But the development of the software application and the analytics and the reporting can be done in 48 hours, even for bigger applications. And also to add on to that, how do we also do it is, again, by drag and drop approaches, visual programming approaches. And I'd be happy to share the platform to you offline. And definitely you would love it because it allows even non-programmers and non-IoT coders to build solutions rapidly.
We've got about 30 seconds left for a really quick question from Nick from Asia Partners.
Sumanta, I just want to compliment you and all the hard work that you and your colleagues have been doing. And forgive us for asking one last tough question, if you don't mind. Back in the last bubble in the 1990s, people would talk about software companies that were solutions in search of a problem. I've been hearing about IoT for 15 years, and I keep feeling that it's an acronym in search of a solution in search of a problem. Why isn't there a $100 billion IoT company in the world right now?
Very, very quickly, Sumanta. Very quickly.
There is PTC. There is Hitachi Vantara. There is multiple. I can share that with you. And I'm with you in this. I'm with you, absolutely with you in this. And that's the kind of problem that we are trying to tackle and challenge the status quo as well. Thanks a lot, Nick.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time for our Q&A. Thank you for that. Sumanta, for Data Crew, all the best. All right, we're going to go on now to our next pitch. Let's bring them on first to make sure they're ready to go. Now, dialing in from the US, good evening, I do believe. For Quantum Sight, we've got Bernadine. Bernadine, are you ready? Yes?
I think I am. How are you?
We're good. All right, Bernadine, your 5 minutes starts now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bernadine, CCO, Quantum Sight. Thank you for this opportunity today.
Imagine that you or a loved one has just been diagnosed with cancer. A doctor takes your biopsy, submits that to the pathology lab for a clinical test, and tells you you'll have to wait for the results before they can treat you. Imagine those results come back inconclusive. For the patient, this represents lost time and fewer treatment options. Hi, I'm John Butler, CEO and founder of Quantum Sight. Current pathology workflows and manual scraping of biopsies do not produce high enough sample purities for conclusive results. Alternative solutions are expensive, take time, and are not easily scalable. Clinicians and hospitals around the world are looking for a modern pathology solution that solves the challenges. At Quantum Sight, we've developed an AI-integrated tissue dissection solution for modern pathology. We provide answers to the 25% of patients and more. We solve the problem with our AI-powered platform that can detect, isolate, and extract tumor content with high precision. Using our print-based tissue dissection technology, we provide clinicians and hospitals around the world pure cellular data that leads to conclusive diagnosis. One of the biggest customer validation we have received is that from Dr. Tony Lim, head pathologist of Singapore General Hospital. Using the QuantumSight platform, we were able to demonstrate an increase in cellular purity from low sample purity biopsies. I'm proud to say that we've just installed our platform at Singapore General Hospital and are starting 2 clinical trials in Tony's lab.
QuantumSight can fit seamlessly into our digital pathology and our automation workflows as we modernize pathology. I'm very excited about the QuantumSight technology that allow my patients to get all the information that they need.
From Team QuantumSight. Yay!
Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Bernadine, CCO, QuantumSight. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity today. QuantumSight started because of John's personal experience when his wife was diagnosed with stage 4 carcinoid cancer. This spurred the belief that there has to be a better way to help patients with difficult to diagnose cancers and who aren't receiving the diagnosis they need. Founded in 2014, we're now a team of 15 experts who are passionate about delivering better patient outcomes. Global top medical and research centers like SGH and Mayo Clinic are both working and endorsing our solutions today. Why? Because they're excited about our unique capability to address a challenge that no one currently can. With our first installation at SGH, we have seen tremendous interest by clinicians. This includes Dr. Lim Chui Ming, a top head and neck oncologist in Singapore. His patients typically require core needle biopsies, and he's excited with our ability to help him extract the data he needs. So why is he excited? Today, 25% of patients are unable to receive conclusive data and potentially life-saving options because of what you see here. These 25% cancer patients have sparse or microscopic tumor content, which makes it close to impossible for extraction using manual scraping methods. At QuantumSight, we developed a first ever AI-integrated tissue dissection platform for modern pathology. Not only do we provide answers to the 25% patients, we're able to integrate front-end digital pathology with molecular dissection, offering a seamless workflow that is not available today. Our print-based technology and customized software allows us to detect, isolate, and extract tumor content with precision into lysates, which are ready for downstream applications such as next-gen sequencing. We provide clinicians high-resolution, pure cellular data for conclusive diagnosis. Why QuantumSight? With clinicians, they now have conclusive data to personalize treatment and medicine for their patients. For researchers and farmers, they now have critical spatial data for the fast-growing spatial omics market. Overall, we have what it takes for success in a US $34 billion global market. With strong acceptance by world-ranked hospitals and research institutes who are now ready to scale and grow globally. We are the intelligence behind every biopsy as we land and expand within the ecosystem to capture new markets. We're raising US $12 million as part of Series A funding to support our product development and business growth. When you have a loved one or a friend with a difficult to diagnose cancer, you can now be assured that they will have the conclusive data they need for equal access to modern medicine. At QuantumSight, we believe in equal opportunity for all cancer patients. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bernadine, for that wonderful pitch. Do you need a drink or something?
Thank you so much.
All good? Okay, just a quick sip before we dive right into our Q&A session. We now have 4 minutes with the judges. And the time starts now. Judges, who would like to begin? We've got a question from Peter for Enterprise Singapore.
Thank you, Bernadine. Can you describe how you see the competitive landscape facing QuantumSight? What's going to happen in the next few years that will undermine your competitive position?
Yeah, we currently are focusing on the unmet need, which is at 25%. Most of our competitors are in that 75%. In fact, all of them are in that 75% patient where they can really help the 75% patients, but not able to do 25%. The reason why they're not able to do that is because they are unable to get precise molecular data. Compared to what we are able to do, we are able to basically extract very precise molecular data, and at the same time, do it at very high throughput.
Thank you for that. Bernadine, our next question comes from Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
Hi, Bernadine. Yeah, do you mind explaining what the options of the 25% are today? So before Quantum Sight existed, the 25% get, poor diagnosis or poor measurement. Isn't there a more intensive way to test again and get a more accurate read?
Yeah, I mean, basically they do a biopsy. Most likely they do a repeat biopsy, because what's happening is they're trying to get the tumor purity up to at least 20 to 30% so that they can run the sequencing. If the tumor content is too low, like you saw in my slide earlier, right, it's very microscopic, you can't get enough tumor content to sequence. If you don't have enough to sequence, these patients have no options, right? So basically, the oncologist tells the patient, sorry, we have nothing right now. It's, it's a standard chemo and radiation.
Thank you for that, Bernadine. We have a follow-up question from...
So just to be clear, are they doomed, or what happens?
They're put in a pile B. That's what when we go and interview pathologists and oncologists, it's a tough problem because of today's technology, right? In today's pathology labs, these clinicians are still, and this is the 21st century? Yeah, this is 21st century. People are still manually scraping slides. And when you're manually scraping slides, the best way you can do it is to get big chunks. That means if you have a tumor lump, it's very easy to scrape that off. But if you have that microscopic tumor that I showed earlier, you can't do anything, right? You really can't, so because of that, a lot of those patients don't have a clear diagnosis. It's inconclusive data.
Thank you for that, Bernadine. We've got a quick question now from Nick from Asia Partners.
Bernadine, as the son of a cancer patient who went through multiple rounds of biopsies with exactly this problem, I just want to thank you for what you and your colleagues are doing. I'm deeply grateful.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. My question is, in the wake of Theranos, there's been a unfortunate and very sad diagnostics and pathology winter in funding, so much skepticism. If you could share, because I think we're streaming this live, with all those naysayers out there post-Theranos, tell them why they should be investing in your company. I want to give you that spotlight.
Really quickly, please.
Wow. I thank you very much for this opportunity. I think it's so important to highlight that 25% who today are those silent people that go in and out of the hospital and not get treated. The reason why we actually realized that this was such a big problem is that we started talking to oncologists and realized it's a recurring problem. 75% have treatment options, 25 don't, right? So they're in and out, doing chemo, doing radiation, nothing whatsoever. We tell investors, listen, okay, we solved the problem for that 25%. That's an unmet need today, okay? That's why our technology helps today for phase 1. We have a plan for the next phase of it, for that 75%. But as far as we're concerned, our highest priority is those 25% today, because we really can make that difference.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Bernadine. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for the Q&A session. Once again, Bernadine from Quantum Sight. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next startup to pitch for our top 12 grand finals. Hello, Michael. Are you ready?
Hi, yes, I'm ready.
Yes, so Michael is dialing in from Singapore, and Michael represents Reverse Ads. Your 5 minutes begins now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Reverse Ads was created solely to compete directly against Google. Our mission is to be a part of the revolution to return the internet back to the people. When the internet was formed in 1989, the intention was to connect people and information through computers. Big tech has stepped in the middle of this connection, and now their algorithms decide what pictures we see of our friends. They decide what news that we read. We want to be part of the movement to bring the internet back to people. So what's the opportunity? Advertisers' job is to buy where their customers spend time. They're not doing their job. They're taking the easy way out. Google properties are 20% of people's time spent online, but 50% or $200 billion of advertising budgets. So let's look at their business model. Google relies on tracking, or what a lot of people call surveillance capitalism, and it's cookie-based. Reverse ads is completely cookieless, and we've created a machine learning roadmap that first assigns the highest probability keyword for what someone is searching for, and then predicts the next steps they will take online. So let's look at buying. Google specializes in impulse purchases. Their index algorithm says, I want it now and here it is. Reverse ads specializes in considered purchase. If you want to buy a car, or buy a house, or buy a B2B product, this is where we consistently outperform Google. Pricing. This is extremely important for us. Google is focused prices on a CPC or cost per click like the rest of the industry. The problem is that up to 92% of clicks can be accidental or click fraud. Reverse ads has created a new method of pricing. We charge on a cost per intent, where under a CPI, we only charge customers if a user reaches 22 seconds or longer on their site, guaranteed. So in other words, you're only paying for quality traffic. So a little bit on our product. Our product is completely live all across the world. It's 20% of our revenues right now are automated sales. We see this shifting to over 50% within the next 2 years. We filed for patent protection in both the US and patent and trademark protection in both the US and Singapore. So the great thing about Google Analytics is it proves that our algorithm works. We have over 300 clients live, including BMW, SAP, and Oracle, where Google Analytics verifies that we outperform Google in considered purchase industries. So the other great thing is that there's a model already proven in Europe and the US that if you focus on 3 specific things, you can outperform Google. Number 1, open web. So that's that other 70% of traffic on the internet that's not Google or Facebook. Number 2, cookieless. The world is moving to cookieless, and advertising companies that are ready for cookieless are going to do the best. And then number 3, you need to specialize and create specific areas where you can outperform Google. Both Trade Desk in the US and Criteo in Europe have created specialties, industries where they can consistently outperform Google. So all great startups have a pivot. We pivoted our business in March of this year to focus solely on cost per intent pricing. For our customers, it's really very simple. Do you want to pay for a click or do you want to pay for intent? Since March, we've grown to $5 million in contract revenue, to $1 million a month in billings, and 4 months of cash flow profitability. So entering these startup contests has been great validation for us. We finished first place and won the popular vote in Tech in Asia, Spark Ignite, and Huawei Global. Our team is built up of over 100 people from 27 different countries. And finally, our goal is to become a unicorn within 3 years. We're going to do that with 3 specific scaling strategies. Number 1, the 35,000 Google and Facebook partners. Right now, they share in 0% of the revenue. We share up to 20% with them. Number 2, building out a direct sales force. And then number 3, for the first time, starting to really invest in our self-service business model. And with that, I'd like to open up with any questions.
Thank you very much, Michael, for the wonderful presentation. We have 4 minutes with the judges. I hope you're ready. Judges, 4 minutes begins now. Who would like to go first? I think the judges are all quite satisfied. We have a question from Nick from Asia Partners.
Michael, I love the revolutionary fervor and the desire to bring down the incumbent. But what keeps happening is in history is revolutionaries increasingly resemble the ancien regime as they learn to manage and grow into their scale. What's an example of a business decision that you would make vis-a-vis your customers or the users that they who shall not be named would not have made?
And sorry, I missed the last part. I was laughing. I missed that they who shall not be named would not make, correct, Nick?
Correct. What's a decision that you'd make that the other guys wouldn't make that you think is more ethical?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, we do not track. So I created reverse ads in the very beginning off of reading a book called Life After Google by George Gilder. Same gentleman who 30 years earlier predicted life after television and completely nailed things like Netflix and streaming services. At its core, reverse ad just simply does not believe in the invasion of privacy of tracking people to every website, every geography, every store they go, everything they do. We are built on prediction and machine learning rather than tracking.
Thank you for that. Judges, do we have another question for Michael? I think we have a question from Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
So, as a consumer, how do I interact with reverse ads? Do I know I'm interacting with reverse ads? I just see your customers, right? Like, how do I get in?
Sure.
With you?
Thank you, Paul. Yes, and so right now, our current state, a consumer would not be aware. We are running advertisements the same way Google ads and Facebook ads automated product does for 300 clients, whereas they're running for hundreds of thousands, millions of clients. So the end consumer does not. However, the natural evolution of our product is what we call a decision engine. So rather than a search engine, for the extremely important, long considered processes of your life, the future of our product will have a consumer facing, and that is turning the search engine into a specific decision engine that helps your internet experience.
So, does that mean I have an app or a site instead of going to Google, I'll go to reverse ads?
Yeah, yes, and that's in a long down our product roadmap, but that's exactly right, Nick. In the future, we want to see reverse ads, our search engine portion of what we do, become a decision engine because the algorithm is already built to be able to, in the same basic logic.
Thank you, Michael. Judges, we've got just about a minute left. Do we have a final quick question for Michael of reverse ads? I think that
Michael, if you're good at building a decision engine, why don't you just build an e-commerce platform and monetize directly than hawking ads to people?
Yep. So if we go back to our mission is to help to change the internet. And the way we believe to do that is to change the digital advertising revenues. That $400 billion a year that's mainly going to Google and Facebook and Amazon is empowering the data industrial complex. We believe that advertising is the first step to begin to make that change.
Thank you for that. I think that's all the time we have for the Q&A session. Once again, thank you, Michael Hahn from Reverse Ads. All the best. Thank you. All right, judges, our next startup also comes from Singapore. We have Stefan Bernard Leo for Source Global. Let's put him on. Stefan, you've got 5 minutes. Are you ready to go?
Okay,
yes, your
good.
5 minutes begins now.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to present today. And Source is on a mission simply to perfect drinking water for everyone everywhere, using only sunlight and air. It's particularly relevant in Singapore, Southeast Asia, and globally to solve the challenge of water depletion and access to safe drinking water, which is UN Development Goal number 6. As well as, frankly, avoid the millions of tons of single-use plastic we generate every year to get our drinking water. In ASEAN alone, it's more than 500,000 tons per year, and less than 5% gets recycled. So it ends up in a landfill or in the sea. Our solution is unique in that it can be deployed anywhere, can be scaled to match the local need, and delivers high-quality drinking water consistently anywhere in the world. And this is what it looks like. We use solar energy in the form of electricity and thermal to extract pure drinking water from the air. It works whether the climate is humid or dry, from the middle of the desert to tropical Singapore. We do not need a source of power. We do not need a source of water. It is plug and play and will operate with minimal maintenance for the next 15 to 20 years. It's easy to configure and scale, as you can see on this installation of 600 hydro panels near Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, anywhere from a couple panels near home to large arrays serving entire communities. We essentially want to do in the drinking water space what solar PV has done in the electricity space. We offer water as a service where Source invests to set up the solution and charges for the drinking water delivered over time. Our solution is designed to operate reliably without maintenance. For hospitality specifically, the offer is turnkey delivery at the individual property door under a circular model. We have other delivery models, whether it's direct dispensing in a home or a big building, to centralize arrays serving entire communities or work sites from a single location. Our solution can also be purchased as a capital investment if needed and more practical. The hospitality sector in Singapore and ASEAN is a 7 million Singapore dollars revenue opportunity for Source in the next couple of years. And that's only targeting a very small subset of more than 90,000 rooms in the luxury premium segment with major global hospitality brands. All of them have a big sustainability agenda in the next couple of years. And a part of that is removing the use of single-use plastic bottles from their operation, something that a lot of people across Southeast Asia are very addicted to, even though sometimes they have good quality drinking water in the tap. In Singapore, we want to showcase the latest version of our technology. We are now the 8th iteration of what we call the Source Hydro Panel. The goal is to demonstrate its increased performance in the Singapore and Southeast Asia climate, as well as achieve visibility by locating them in high-profile locations. Singapore is a regional leader in the implementation of green technology, a regional business hub, and having Source operating here at scale would open up opportunities both locally and the whole region. We have a strong local team to execute with the support of Source Global. We have more than 160 talented people around the world helping us to scale this up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Now we have a little Q&A with the judges. We have 4 minutes. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, our first question is from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
Stefan, are you guys at so-called cost parity? Like, what is the cost of production per liter for your system versus what I would get from a tap? Because that's got nothing to do with single use of plastics, right?
Right. So from the tap, if you have access to pipe infrastructure near a big urban center and the quality of water is satisfactory, we are not at cost parity, and that's not the intent of this. We are trying to target the places where traditional Roman aqueduct solution are not appropriate. So more remote places or places where water treatment is actually difficult, or even after water treatment.
What is the cost per liter right now? What's your target cost per liter?
So we can get down to about, in a good location, about 5 cents per liter, right? Which compares favorably to, you know, bottled water or even sometimes reverse osmosis water. It can go all the way up in drier, less productive environment to about 15 cents per liter.
That's not bad, but where are you guys now as opposed to where you guys want to be?
Oh, we want to be lower than that. That's where we can deliver.
Where are you guys now? Please answer the question.
Yeah, so 5 to 15 cents per liter, depending on the location, geographical location and climate.
That's today with your current system?
With the current system.
Okay, thank you.
Judges, do we have another question? We have one from Nick from Asia Partners.
Stefan, I just want to thank you for what you and your team are doing. Water is obviously so fundamental. An old friend, Scott Harrison, has built Charity Water, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, and they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for water projects as a nonprofit. Does this organization that you and your colleagues are building make more sense as a for-profit or a nonprofit?
So the deploying in communities like we've done in the Aboriginal communities in Australia or the Navajo Nation in the US is a big part of it. However, what we quickly realized, given the availability of funding and the complexity of deploying that funding in a sustainable way in long-term programs, we also realized we need commercial legs to turbocharge that expansion. So that's why we're also targeting the hospitality groups who can pay for that water. It represents either a small extra cost versus the bottled water they purchase today, or even a saving in some cases, and remote work sites, mostly mining concerns. Because with these two legs, we can actually achieve scale on the community side a lot faster. So yes, we talk to also grant givers, donors, NGOs, and the likes, but we also realize that commercial legs are very important to go faster.
Thank you, Stefan. We've got about 1 minute, 20 seconds left, judges. Do we have any more questions for Stefan? We've got one, yes, from Paul, Wavemaker Partners.
Yeah, so Stefan, again, it sounds like a reasonable project. Is it difficult to scale because the people you're targeting are the ones who can't afford it? Is that the main reason why you're not flying off the shelves?
So community, yes. There's the issue of affordability, which always requires some sort of support funding for, let's say, we're looking at projects in the Pacific Islands and the likes. In places like Singapore and the big hospitality hubs here, it's As you well know, Southeast Asia is not a place where people like to try our technology. They need to see and feel and touch it to be able to say, yes, okay, I believe in this and I will go and try this out.
Thank you for that, Stefan. I do believe that's all the time we have for this Q&A session. Once again, Stefan, for Source Global, thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
Now, our next startup also comes from Singapore. It's SunGreen H2. Let's put Tulika on. Hello, Tulika. Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. So you've got 5 minutes, Tulika. Are you ready?
Thanks.
Your pitch starts now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tulika, and I'm the CEO of SunGreen H2. At SunGreen H2, we are unlocking green hydrogen using nanotechnology. Hydrogen is a $150 billion market. 90 million tons of the stuff was made last year, produced almost entirely from fossil fuels. Made in this way, hydrogen is super cheap, but also very dirty. Almost 900 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions were created as a result last year. I can think of no better backdrop in which to make an argument for greening hydrogen production. Against the backdrop of COP26, the global climate change conference that's happening, where nations and corporations are pledging their net zero emissions targets. There is a way to make hydrogen zero emissions. It's called water electrolysis. You simply use renewable electricity and water in an electrolyzer machine to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. Made in this manner, we have green hydrogen, a zero carbon renewable fuel. A landslide of legislation is driving its adoption. However, in order to compete with the dirty, cheap, gray stuff based on fossil fuels, green hydrogen really needs to become cost effective. The bottleneck to affordable green hydrogen today are today's electrolyzers technology. Across the board, these are expensive and inefficient, and for high performance, the industry relies on platinum group metals. Not only are they costly, they're also limited in supply and present a bottleneck to scalability. How do we make green hydrogen $2 per kg? SunGreen H2 has a solution. We are dramatically reducing the cost of green hydrogen using nanotechnology. We make electrodes based on nanostructured, low-cost, earth-abundant materials that can be used as electrodes in almost all the existing types of electrolyzers to double hydrogen production using 30 times lower platinum group metals and at 10% lower energy consumption. So this is how we reduce both CapEx and OpEx. Our novel breakthrough technology is under patent, works with almost every type of electrolyzer available today. We have a prototype single-cell electrolyzer system up and running at A*, and we are scaling up our component solution into a standalone stack and system which we will manufacture in partnership. Our go-to-market path envisions, and we are working with corporate partners in Singapore and internationally to bring both our components and the stacks and systems to market. We have strong inbound interest and a pipeline representing millions of dollars in potential revenue. Some of the key markets that we're addressing are the multi-billion-dollar markets in electrolyzers via sales of our components, as well as hydrogen end users in energy storage, transport, and industry. In many ways, SunGreen H2's solution completely mirrors Singapore's decarbonization drive. As we in Singapore look to green and decarbonize our maritime and port sector, our power generation sector, and even our refinery operations, we believe SunGreen H2's solution offers deep decarbonization via low-cost green hydrogen. We are on a journey to scale our solution. We believe the prototype is delivering 50% reduced green hydrogen compared to the market price today at prototype stage. And as we scale this solution to mass manufacturing in the next few years, we will bring down the cost below $2 per kg. We are an award-winning team commercializing over 10 years of research expertise in nanotechnology and electrochemistry. We would like to invite industry partners in Singapore and beyond who are listening in today to join us in our journey to build a Singapore-based global green hydrogen technology at the forefront of bringing and realizing a net zero emissions future for us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tulika. And thank you for the wonderful pitch. Do you want to take a sip of water or anything? Or you're good? See, everybody always wants a sip of water. Okay. So, Tulika, we've got 4 minutes with the judges. Are you ready? Your 4 minutes Q&A begins now. We've got Nick with the first question from Asia Partners.
Hi, Tulika. Thank you so much for everything that you and your team are doing. I have probably a stupid question. If the vast majority of the electricity in the world is created with fossil fuels, and you need electricity for electrolysis, why are you a green energy company?
Thanks, Nick, for the great question. Fundamental to the reason why green hydrogen is finally available as a technology for us to decarbonize our energy futures is the huge drop in renewable electricity costs over the last decades. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, by the way, electrolysis was a 100-year-old technology. We simply didn't have enough renewable penetration in the world, and it wasn't cost-effective enough to make this technology viable. Today, however, over the last decade, as wind and solar costs have plummeted, we are finally at a place where we have enough penetration of renewable electricity available globally and at low cost enough to make a cost-competitive solution that is green hydrogen when compared with gray fossil fuel-based hydrogen. So this is why the technology finally has potential to be adopted at wide scale in industry, transport, and energy storage.
But if you're using green solar and green wind, which is already green, what's the point of then converting into hydrogen? Is it just transportability?
I get your question. So we're talking about not the 25% carbon dioxide problem of the world, which can be solved with green electrons. We are talking about the 75% carbon dioxide problem of the world, which cannot be solved by renewable electrification. So really the way to think about green hydrogen as a solution is where renewable electrons cannot go, their green hydrogen molecules can do the job. So let's think about how our wind and solar farms can provide us with electricity. To a large scale, batteries can provide us with storage. What they cannot do is provide us with long-term seasonal storage. Long duration storage is possible through hydrogen. What our green electrons cannot do is help us to make steel and cement and iron and fertilizer. What we can do is replace hydrogen as a feedstock in these energy-intensive industries and use green hydrogen instead. And likewise with our transportation, green hydrogen will go where battery electric vehicles cannot. It allows you to drive your heavy-duty trucking, your shipping operations via hydrogen-derived fuels and aviation fuels where electricity alone cannot do the job. So really green hydrogen is the extension of our decarbonization story. Where renewable electrification stops, green hydrogen starts.
We've got about 1:15 left. We've got a question now from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
How much more efficient is your technology compared to current existing, like 2x, 3x, 4x? First question. Secondly, how are you handling the intellectual property? Are you keeping a trade secret or are you patent protecting it?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we are able to produce double the amount of hydrogen from a given electrolyzer cell size. That's the production gain. We also use 10% lower energy consumption compared to 55 kilowatt hours per kg, for example, to produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen. That is the industry norm. We produced it at 48 kilowatt hours per kg, which is world leading. And most importantly, we use less than 30 times, we use 30 times reduced amount of platinum group metals for this kind of performance, which is an order of magnitude lower than what the industry uses. As an example, the industry uses 3 to 12 milligrams per centimeter square. We use 0.01 to 0.2 where it's applicable. In some cases, we make platinum-free components for the non-platinum technologies as well. About intellectual property, we have a strong suite of patents to protect us where we do protect the materials and the right to use the materials that we have invented. However, we keep the know-how as a trade secret.
Thank you very much, Tulika. That brings us to the end of our Q&A session. Once again, Tulika for Sun Green AIDS 2. Good job, thank you, and all the best. Now we move on to our 9th startup of our top 12 grand finalists. Dialing in from the US, we have Desmond Wong for Transip. Let's put Desmond on. Hello, hello, Desmond. You look all set and ready to go. Yes?
Yeah, I'm ready. So yeah,
okay.
Yours have been a long day. So thank you.
I know it's very, very late over there. So Desmond, your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay. Hi, this is Desmond Wong, CEO of Transit. Noise has been a difficult and unsolved problem in the electronics industry. and it is increasingly affecting our daily life. For example, does your smartphone find your loved one correctly? Noise makes it very difficult and wastes more power. And why isn't a smartwatch as good as a stress strap in heart rate accuracy? Because of noise. At Transit, our 110-year of deep tech experience led to the discovery of a previously unknown noise inside noise of power supplies. We term it switching noise jitter, or SNJ. We invented a technology called Transit Pi, which definitively eliminates this noise. We have patents in the US and China. Eliminating SNJ matters because critical device function run faster and more accurately under real-world conditions and use less energy. This gives our customers a competitive edge. That is, we empower customer brand names and user experience. Let me give you some examples. Transit enabled the world's first never charge GPS watch powered by body heat. GPS benefit, position accuracy is 10 times better and 25% faster to acquire with satellite signal. Wireless IoT devices are facing a growing problem. Conventional filters are no longer working. With Transit Pi, they become more reliable because all noise is eliminated. The biomedical benefit, the optical heart rate accuracy, is not only equivalent to the stress strap, but meet clinical requirements suggested by Philips Research for patient care. And even improve the 5G clock accuracy. This means data run faster and more reliably under real-world conditions. Remote sensing is exciting. The system takes 100 times less energy for producing the same signal. No complex or high-power signal processing means it can run on a renewable energy source forever because Transit Pi doesn't need energy. It applies to seismic monitors, footstep detection, and many others, and it saves a lot of dollars. Transit technology has been validated by professionals around the world. Sir Peter Mann, he is a renowned veteran in the navigation industry. Raycon, the world-class timing device vendor. U-Blocks, the leader in GPS and IoT solutions. Tektronix, the world-famous measurement equipment makers. The versatility of Transit Pi means a TAM of 30 billion at least. That comprises of 5 market segments: consumer, wireless, high-speed data, data storage, and automotive. The TAM will continue to expand. Those highlighted in green represent the market that we are serving. We ship near 2 million devices from Irvine in California to 6 countries, including Canon Electronics in Japan. We target to cross the $1 million mark in sales within 18 months based on the progress with 3 global consumer brands, including one in Switzerland. Now, let's take a look at our production.
Hello, this is Bill Burr. I take care of operations and manufacturing here at Transit. We have a scalable, world-class manufacturing team capable of responding to our customers' requirements.
The top priority is to invest in sales and marketing resources and expand into new channels in ultra-wideband and revolutionary products. Very soon, you will see one more revolutionary product in Asia. There are 5 Transit Pi devices inside. It is the world's first perpetual self-charging health tracker and will be integrated into Kansai Medical University Hospital in Japan. To summarize, we all live in a data-driven world. How much resources and energy has been wasted because of noise? So, please join us to battle the fundamental issues of noise to reduce our carbon footprint and enhance your brand names and create a sustainable future together. Slingshot is a great experience. Thank you for this precious moment.
Thank you very much, Desmond, for that very precious pitch as well. Desmond, we've got 4 minutes with the judges. And first question, 4 minutes begins now. We have a question from Peter for Enterprise Singapore.
Thank you, Desmond. Can you share a bit with us about your state of your intellectual property, what it is, and how you're going about to protect the intellectual property?
So we already got 2 patents in China and 4 patents in the US, and a few of them directly related to the manufacturing, the way of manufacturing it, is the fundamental principle and also the manufacturing method. So we lay out our claim very clearly on, and most of the claim is on the fundamental claim. But not just that, we are actually expanding our patent portfolio right now. And in additional, and for your information, in additional to the patent, because we are the first kind who able to address the fundamental noise issue. So we are also using the trademark. So that's why we market the technology using the transit pipe trademark to address the noise. So anyone see that, there is no, this is exceptional performance and giving our customer a competitive edge over their competitors.
Thank you, Desmond. Judges, we have we've got a question now from Nick from Asia Partners.
Desmond, I just want to congratulate you for the decision you made not to take any venture capital and to build this business on your own. If I read your deck correctly, can you tell us about some of the decisions or freedom you've had not going down that path?
Actually, at the beginning, we are not sure our path. Even myself, I came up from semiconductor industry for 30 years, but honestly, in my life, I seldom even invest in semiconductor company because I know how risky it is. Okay, so now the only one I invest is just transit. So I spoke to semiconductor, VC for the past few years, and many VC, they honestly told me, literally no one are interested in semiconductor industry investment anymore. So that is fact. So that's why at the beginning we didn't really consider that path, but and then over time, so our sales increase, so our profit is our profit margin is very healthy, and we are already sustainable. We have no debt, so we didn't really actively look at that for the past few years. But until now, we already shipped almost 2 million wires. I think we are at a turning point to think about that seriously on how to grow this business. To get more people benefits.
Okay, we've got a question now from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
Desmond, I just did a semiconductor deal 6 months ago from the Singapore Deep Tech. So my question is very specific. Are you guys having an algorithm which you actually have to put onto an ASIC with your manufacturers, or are you guys actually manufacturing a device that actually is in there, or a chiplet that has to go into like a package?
Actually, it doesn't involve any power. So this thing does not involve any algorithm. It's just based on mathematics. So we have a mathematical model to come up a certain kind of material to deal with noise. So this device is completely passive.
So you're an algorithm that can be implemented in a microprocessor as part of a DSP architecture.
Yeah, the principle has no limit. It can be processor, especially on signal processing. Let me give you an example. The most effective way to save power, if the transit pipe technology can directly apply right at the front end or where the signal is coming in. So this means at the forefront of the incoming signal chain. That is the most effective way to save power. Because understand, no matter what system today, whenever even algorithm or software, they are all running under the influence of noise. Okay, so if the fundamental signals would not be corrupted by noise, and the rest of the system would take a lot more easier and more accurate and less time to process the signal. That means time and energy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Desmond. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the Q&A. Once again, Desmond for Transit. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
For our next startup, we're on to Startup 10, and dialing in from Hong Kong, we have Gary Ng for VACT. Hello, Gary. Are you all set and ready to go?
Ready.
Ready and willing. Your 5 minutes begins now.
So there are 3 major problems in the construction industry for the last 25 years. There's zero increase in productivity in the last 25 years because everything is done by human. There's no automation. 98% of projects got delayed, and when the project delay, the cost increased more than 80%. 1 in 10 of construction workers got injury, and each fatal injury will cost the construction company more than $1 million because it is extremely challenging and extremely costly to digitize data for real construction site environments. But more than 80% of construction site already has real-time monitoring, such as CCTV, IP cameras, but everything today is still monitored by a human. So there's a lot of human errors, the reaction is slow, and the accuracy is very low. So we developed VIA. VIA is the first Asia industrial-grade AI cloud platform. It allows the construction company to deploy industrial-grade AI solutions extremely simply and also cost-effectively. So it automates construction monitoring to improve safety, productivity, and environmental issues. We are the world-leading construction AI research company, and we are ranked #1 for construction AI research paper publisher, ranked by the ResearchGate. We have more than 50 big, large-scale project deployment across Asia, and we are working with some of the top-tier international construction companies around the world. We have deployed so far more than 30 proprietary AI modules, and we have launched the world's first scenario-based AI for construction. So our platform is simple to use, extremely simple to deploy. It has a lot of flexibilities to adapt to the dynamic construction environments, and it can have a lot of integrations with a lot of the other platforms, such as Autodesk, Procore, and all the other IoT devices. It can reduce more than 70% of cost for human monitoring. It reacts 10 times faster and more precise than human, and it can run 24/7 non-stop automatically. The construction monitoring market is around $22 billion in the world, and half of this market is coming from Asia in the next 10 years, because Asia construction market is booming. Our business model is a SaaS subscription model by monthly subscription. So we charge based on the number of AI modules per cameras per month. We have grown dramatically in 2020 till now, and we have grown more than 10 times of our sales revenue to reach $1 million. And early of this year, we complete our seed round fundraising with some of the largest investors actually in the world, from SOSV, Vector Venture, and Alibaba. And they have invested more than $2 million to us. So we expanded continuously to overseas. We just established our Singapore office actually a few months ago for the Southeast Asia market, and we will go to Europe and US, and then back to China. Our team is a great mix of domain expertise from construction plus AI and robotics. Me and my co-founder, Hugo, both are graduated as a construction engineers and has been working in the construction industry for many years as a consultant and contractor. We have some of the top-notch researchers for construction AI and construction robotics in our team. So if you're interested in how our AI solution can disrupt the construction industry, please come to talk to us. My name is Gary. I'm the CEO of VIA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. And we will now have a Q&A session with the judges. Do you want to take a quick sip of water or anything? Just in case? No? All good? Yes? See, okay. They always want a sip of water. Okay. 4 minutes with the judges, and the time starts now. Judges who would like to go first. And we will have Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
Yeah, do you mind explaining how it works, Gary? So are you taking advantage of the cameras installed in construction sites, and basically it's a machine sort of watching the cameras and interpreting what's happening? Or do you install sensors also on the construction sites? Is it like you have a menu of sensors that you install to be able to track things?
So basically, the problems that we are solving is how to digitize the construction monitoring. So basically, today they have all the fixed IP cameras that you install in the construction site. And now they started to deploy other types of cameras as well, such as like 360 cameras, mobile phone, drone cameras, and even putting cameras on robotic. So all this camera data would eventually go to our cloud solution platform, and it has all the pre-built AI to extract meaningful data from these video image data. And then we have different scenarios application, such as on very certain construction progress, such as for lifting, for tar crane, for machinery, for dump truck. So each of these scenarios, we would try to extract those data and provide meaningful insights to our customers.
Thank you for that.
And so does it work where you have to define what the machine is looking for with the cameras, or it just sucks in all of the image data and it just makes decisions and recommendations based on that?
So that's a very, very good question, because the cameras, how it actually be installed has to be based on the scenarios as well. So we provide recommendations like if this is a scenario for dump truck, where the cameras should be installed, and then you take the cameras in each of these locations, and then each of these cameras would deploy different AI to extract meaningful data, and all this data will go to a centralized platform, and then it will also combine it with some other IoT integrations that we can have and provide those kind of insights and automations.
Thank you, Gary. Judges, do we have any more questions for Gary? We've got one from Hien from Open Space Ventures.
What is it actually trying to do? Prevent accidents before they happen, or sort of analyze scenarios that are dangerous?
I think that's a very good question. Thank you. So for monitoring in construction actually comes into three major parts: safety, productivity, and environmental. So if you have like real-time alerts and you can alert the workers to avoid those accidents, then actually this is something that our AI can do. For productivity, then basically you are doing post-processing on all these video data, and you provide the dashboards and data for the managers to understand what really happens. So for environmental issue, it's the same. Basically, all the data will stream online, and then you will have like a monthly report on what really happens for your environmental issue, such as like waste management, how you classify the different like construction materials, things like that.
We've got a minute left. A quick question from Nick from Asia Partners.
Gary, one of the things the technology industry has prided itself on, quietly, is going after end markets where there isn't organized labor to protest the installation of said product. Welcome to construction, different story. On the three things on your front page, the minimization of accidents, that's very labor friendly, but the productivity side and the delay side, labor is going to hate that. How are you going to solve that problem?
So for us, the productivity is basically extracting data for the managers to understand what really happened in the construction in terms of like how they can improve the scheduling, how can they improve the planning, how they track the construction progress, right, for example. So these data will eventually stream to the managers to make better decisions.
I don't dispute that, but what do you do when the workers stage a walkout saying we don't want this stuff on our work site?
Really quickly, we've got no more time. Please, Gary, really quickly.
So it is like because it's like in most of the country we work with, they don't have like too much on the privacy issue. So we're still pretty much like okay in terms of the workers like against our solution. So we're pretty okay.
I apologize for that, Gary and judges, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you once again, Gary of VACT. All the best. And we move on to Startup 11 of our top 12 grand finalists. Dialing in from the US, we have YK Kim for Visual Camp. Hello, YK. Still awake? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes with you. Your 5-minute pitch starts now.
Hi, my name is YK, and I'm the US General Manager at Visual Camp. Today, I'm going to tell you how we gained over 8,000 accounts, over 500,000 end users, and are the winner of the Global Awards all in under a year and during the pandemic. Out of the many industries we work with, let's take education. Through online learning, it is very difficult for teachers to see what is the student focusing on, if they're focusing at all, and also to see which portion of the lesson plan is working. It's even more difficult to do that in a scalable and inexpensive way. VisualCamp provides a no hardware eye tracking software solution. This means you can measure exactly the end user's engagement. You can see what they're focusing on, and through our proprietary way, you can measure how focused they are, as well as gain insights such as, are they getting drowsy? And of course, we do that in an inexpensive, scalable manner. With VisualCamp solutions, you can also provide eye control to your end users. So they can scroll, they can click just with their eyes. Our core product is a mobile software development kit, which we call CISO. CISO requires no hardware and supports virtually any device with a front-facing camera. We support Android, iOS, web, as well as Windows. For pricing structure, we actually very recently changed to a freemium model based off of the feedback we received from our customers. And in this freemium model, we have a commercial license that is based off of MAU that can be paid monthly or annually. We work with 7 of the top education companies in Korea, for example, Kyowan. In Kyowan's case, over 50,000 students are utilizing our technology today. And the use case here is primarily to measure that learning effectiveness. So currently, there are students in Korea who are receiving grades based on how well they focus during the lesson, which makes me really glad I'm not in school currently. We're also integrated with 2 commercial e-reader apps where they're utilizing the eye control portion of CISO so that their end users can scroll through pages as well as turn pages with their eyes. Compared to our competitors, we are mobile optimized. We support the widest array of devices. We have the easiest adoption by end users because of our single point calibration. And we're the only solution on the market where you can collect this type of data in the end user's natural environment. We're leveraging our success from education to penetrate other markets. For example, in the US, we're set to launch with one of the largest media conglomerates for their streaming apps by the end of this year. We're also making headway into digital healthcare, specifically for digital therapeutics. Excuse me one second, for digital therapeutics and pre-diagnosis. We're set to have clinical trials next year for dry eye disease, autism, ADHD, as well as dementia. And an example use case here, for dry eye disease, currently there is a proven blinking exercise that you do about 10 minutes every day. And traditionally what you do is you go to a doctor, the doctor then explains to you how to do that blinking exercise. But the doctor cannot check when you're at home if you're doing the exercise correctly or if you're doing it regularly. So what we've done is partnered up with a healthcare company who is developing the app with CISO integrated so that the patient can just follow along with this app and do the blinking exercise, and the data would then be handed over to their healthcare provider. We're set to have a revenue of $2 million this year. We've had a total cumulative investment of a little over $5 million. We have a variety of patents in Korea as well as US, and many more filed. Both of our co-founders have IPO experience and collectively over 40 years of experience as CEO or CTO in the IT industry. Our team is comprised of 20 members, 14 of which are developers. Our headquarters is in South Korea. We have an office here in Silicon Valley as well as in China. Please remember that eyes don't lie. Again, we're VisualCamp. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, YK. And we are now going to head to a 4-minute session with the judges. Do you need a drink of water or anything?
I think I'm okay.
Okay. 4 minutes begins now. Judges, do we have a question for YK? We've got one from Paul from Wavemaker Partners.
So YK, wouldn't it be fair to say that COVID actually helped you rather than hurt you? I mean, it's not in spite of COVID, but it's because of COVID that you grew if you were in the remote education space. I guess I'm wondering what happens when people go back to school.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the use case for you there when things go back to normal?
Yes. So in our case, we found our product market fit due to COVID, actually. We didn't have to reach out to the education companies. They came to us looking for a solution. And one of our concerns was, as things start to open up, what will happen with that use case? But what we have come to realize working with these education partners is that we've done many iterations of CISO. So originally, one of the major concerns for them was there was a lot of video camera spoofing going on. So we actually had already within our database, we basically had a liveness detection tool that we implemented into CISO. And then the drowsiness API that I talked about earlier in this presentation came directly from the education institutions and companies asking for things like that. Right now, there are a couple other things on the roadmap that we have added on to work with them that we don't see that going away because classes are opening up. To give you an example, one of which is the detection to understand if the student, when they see the problem, if they understand it and recognize it, or if they are guessing with the answer. And that's going to be something involved with testing rather than just online components.
Thank you, YK. Judges, do we have another question? We have one from Nick from Asia Partners.
YK, thanks for sharing your perspective with us. I can't remember whether it was Steve Jobs or Larry Ellison who used to say in the 90s, some companies are actually just features, and some companies are products, and some companies are companies. Can you explain to us why Visual Camp is a company and not a feature or a product?
Yes. So there's three major core things that we can address uniquely, and one of which is measuring attention. You've seen presentations about advertising, you've seen similar presentations where there is a lack of that measurement of attention, and I believe right now what they're calling it is the wave for attention economy. We can do that measurement through tracking the eyes, and then the way we process that data, we can also have a deeper understanding of the end user. So if they're drowsy, one of the things that we're working on is if they're stressed.
But YK, if I could just gently maybe push you on this, you've just underscored why it's a great feature. Why is this a great company?
So actually one of our mottos, our mission statement, if you will, from our founders is to change how we interact with our devices. Rather than having us work for our devices, rather than us working for our devices work for us. So originally we came from a project where ALS patients would type with their eyes, and then this is where we've ended up pivoting towards. So that, for example, in the advertising space, one of the things that I would like to work towards is, rather than being spammed with advertisements that don't apply to me, I would more than willingly watch advertisements. That do relate to me. And if they have that understanding, then we have a connection there.
Thank you very much.